Mexico stood at a precipice. The 2024 elections were more than a political contest. They were a referendum on the soul of a nation. For many Mexicans, the act of voting was an act of defiance, a refusal to surrender their democracy to fear. The cartels, with their tentacles deep within the state apparatus, sought to control the narrative. Their methods were brutal, their message, clear dissent, would be met with violence. Intimidation and bloodshed became commonplace, casting a long shadow over the campaign trail. Yet, amidst the fear, a spirit of resilience flickered. Ordinary citizens, driven by an unwavering belief in their democratic rights, refused to be cowed. The outcome of these elections, they knew, would have far-reaching implications. A free and fair election, against the backdrop of such adversity, would send a powerful message. The country stood at a crossroads. Cartels cast a long shadow over the elections. Their influence was insidious, pervasive, and deeply unsettling. They operated with impunity in many regions, their power often exceeding that of the state. Violence became a tool to silence opposition and manipulate the electoral process. Candidates who refused to toe the cartel line faced threats, intimidation, and often deadly consequences. The assassination of a mayoral candidate in Guerrero sent shockwaves through the nation. This act of brazen violence highlighted the vulnerability of the democratic process to cartel interference. Yet the cartels miscalculated. Despite the fear, voter turnout was unexpectedly high. People were determined to make their voices heard, to defy the cartels, and reclaim their democracy. The hope was that the will of the people would prevail, that democracy would triumph over fear. The 2024 Mexican elections were a testament to the courage of ordinary citizens. Faced with unprecedented levels of violence and intimidation, they refused to be silenced. Their stories of bravery and defiance offered a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. In the heartland of cartel territory, a young poll worker, Maria, stood her ground. Maria knew the risks. She had seen the cartel's brutality firsthand, but she also knew that her participation in the electoral process was crucial. With unwavering resolve, she oversaw the voting at her assigned polling station, ensuring every vote was counted. Then there was Hector, a mayoral candidate in a small town in Michoacan. He campaigned on a platform of anti-corruption and social justice, a direct challenge to the cartel's authority. These stories of courage, echoed across the nation, painted a powerful picture of resistance. The Mexican people, in their determination to exercise their democratic rights, sent a powerful message to the cartels. Their reign of terror would not stand. Election day arrived, a day of reckoning. Millions of Mexicans, defying the shadow of violence, lined up to cast their votes. The turnout was higher than expected, a resounding testament to the people's commitment to democracy. It was a powerful rebuke to the cartels and their attempts to subvert the electoral process. The lines snaked around city blocks, a sea of humanity united in their determination. They came from all walks of life, rich and poor, young and old. They came with a shared belief that their votes mattered, that their voices deserved to be heard. The atmosphere was electric, a potent mix of hope, defiance, and a palpable sense of relief. Early results indicated a shift in the balance of power, a potential rejection of the status quo. The nation held its breath, waiting to see if this fragile hope would blossom into a new era for Mexican democracy. When the final results were announced, a collective cheer erupted across Mexico. The election had ushered in a new era, one that promised change and a departure from the violence that had plagued the nation for far too long. The people had spoken, their voices echoing a resounding message of hope and a yearning for peace. The newly elected government, while acutely aware of the challenges ahead, offered a glimmer of hope. They pledged to tackle corruption, strengthen the rule of law, and restore faith in the country's institutions. The road ahead would be long and arduous, but the Mexican people, emboldened by their victory, were ready for the challenge. The international community welcomed the results, praising the courage of the Mexican people and pledging their support for the new government. Mexico had shown the world the power of resilience, the enduring strength of the human spirit. It was a story that resonated far beyond the borders of Mexico, offering a beacon of inspiration to all those struggling for freedom and democracy in the face of oppression. While the 2024 elections marked a turning point, the road ahead for Mexico remained fraught with challenges. The cartels, though weakened, were far from defeated. Their grip on certain regions remained strong. The new government faced the daunting task of dismantling these criminal networks while addressing the root causes of violence and impunity. Rebuilding trust in institutions, restoring the rule of law, and tackling corruption were paramount. The task was immense, requiring a fundamental shift in the relationship between the state and its citizens. The new government would need to deliver on its promises of change to show tangible progress in improving the lives of ordinary Mexicans. The international community had a crucial role to play in supporting Mexico's efforts. Continued assistance in strengthening law enforcement, combating corruption, and promoting human rights would be essential. The journey ahead was long, but the first steps had been taken, and the spirit of hope, once ignited, burned brightly.